The Water 7 arc in One Piece is so special and so incredible for so many different reasons that I can't wait to talk about. So without further ado, let's just jump into it.
I'm watching the Water 7 arc in One Piece for the first time and I'm so excited for several reasons. Number one, so many people have told me how amazing this arc is. Like, I legit have not heard one bad word about it so far. Secondly, this first episode has already kicked things off to an incredible start. Looks like we're finally going to get to learn a little bit more about Robin and her backstory, and also this guy Aokiji is genuinely a terrifying person. I don't know if we've seen this big of a threat to the Straw Hats ever. Immediate sense of urgency is crazy. Not only did Robin and Luffy nearly get killed almost immediately, this guy Aokiji feels like a completely different level to anything we've seen before, and the amount of questions that he's left unanswered is insane. There is a huge amount of mystery surrounding Robin now, not just about her past but her future as well with the Straw Hats and her life in general. This is one hell of a way to kick off a new arc, and I feel like Aokiji is just the tip of the iceberg, no pun intended. As the Straw Hats are entering Water 7 in this episode, I got such a genuine sense of excitement for them discovering a new island, a new place to explore. Sense of adventure in One Piece is like no other anime or any show I've ever seen before. I get so excited to hear about the history of the island, its residents, how they live, all of that sort of stuff, the culture of it all. Just the world building in One Piece is so good, and every single island is so unique and interesting. I love it. Every time the Straw Hats get to a new place, I'm buzzing, bro. But Water 7 already feels like it's going to be special to me, man. I can't wait. Something just feels off, man. Throughout this whole episode, there's just a constant feeling of unease and that something isn't quite right. It almost feels too idyllic, if that makes sense. Not to mention those weird people with the creepy masks that are somehow linked to Robin. Robin's obviously going to have a big role to play in this arc, and she's connected to the people in the masks somehow. Atmospherically, I'm loving the way that this arc is already so far, and the mystery behind the masks and Water 7 in general and how it connects to Robin, I'm already hooked. The characters in this city just feel a little bit off, including the carpenters that seem to be worshipped in this town. Even the mayor, Iceberg, he doesn't seem quite right in the head. Right now, it feels like the Water 7 arc is very slowly but deliberately teaching us everything about the city of Water 7 and its people. The shipwrights specifically, who I love by the way, who are obviously going to have a very important role in this arc. I'm absolutely buzzing for the Straw Hats to get a new crew member, especially if it's any of these shipwrights we've met already, because they're insane and hilarious, and I think they'll fit really well with the Straw Hats. And with this heartbreaking revelation that the Going Merry might not make it to the next island, it's even more important now than ever for them to get a shipwright. The Going Merry is just as important as any other crew member. It'd be like Sanji not being able to cook again, or Zoro not being able to wield a sword again, or something like that. This might be Usopp's greatest moment so far in One Piece. After Usopp is kidnapped by the Frankie family, Nami eventually finds him beaten and bloodied and near death, and we come to learn that all of the money that was going to be potentially used to save the Going Merry has been stolen from the Frankie family, and Usopp is absolutely devastated by this. And it's not the fact that the money's gone which upsets him so much, it's the fact that he didn't have the strength to protect it in the first place. And this scene between Nami and Usopp is absolutely devastating. It's heartbreaking to watch Usopp like this. But the thing that makes Usopp so amazing is even after all of this, even after he was beaten to near death, he still goes back to confront the Frankie family to get the money back. And the thing I love about Usopp is even though he does run away sometimes, when the chips are really down and it really does matter, he will always stand and fight, especially when it comes to proving himself. I personally really like Usopp's character. This might have been one of my favorite One Piece episodes ever, and it's not just because the fight versus the Frankie family was so good, it was what it represented. The thing with the Straw Hats is no matter what, if one of their own gets hurt or gets destroyed or beaten up by another person, you can bet that the other Straw Hats are going to jump them real quick. I don't know the last time we saw Chopper, Sanji, Zoro and Luffy all fighting together, but seeing them take down the Frankie family was just the best thing ever. And the fact it was all in retaliation for what happened to Usopp just makes it 10 times better. This is the most passionate and emotional that Usopp has ever been. The Going Merry means so much to him, just like it does with all the other Straw Hats, but to him it represents a little bit more. I feel like it represents his home and his conviction and his decision to become a pirate and become an adventurer, a real one. It's a family member to him, so the thought of that getting taken away without his control, I think, has absolutely crushed him. And this episode goes to show if there's any rift between any of the Straw Hats, it could potentially destroy the entire crew. And this argument between Luffy and Usopp and the fact that they're actually fighting has blown me away. It's actually given me heartache, I think. This was the hardest battle I've ever watched, I think, in any anime. You could tell because I'm still tearing up. Luffy versus Usopp. These two should have never have fought, but it was a battle of pride over the Going Merry. And it's something that had to happen, not just for Luffy, but for Usopp as well. And seeing these two battle the way they did after everything they've been through, with the constant flashbacks showing up as well, has absolutely got me in bits. I don't know how they move forward from here. I don't know if that is Usopp truly done with the Straw Hats. I don't know. All I know is One Piece is a fucking masterpiece, and it knows how to tell an amazing story. And Usopp, for all his flaws, is an incredible character. I genuinely love these characters so much, and this episode just like proved it more than ever before. We finally got the reveal of Frankie, and he's not what I expected at all. He's a lot more eccentric and enthusiastic than I was expecting when we we first saw him. But he's also clearly a big threat because everybody in Water 7 was absolutely terrified when he just arrived. You know that you're a scary dude when as soon as you start tapping your feet, everybody starts running away. Frankie is fucking awesome. I'm sold already. I wasn't sure exactly what to expect out of Frankie, but him in this episode versus Luffy, I love him. He's so eccentric and insane and over the top. He's a cyborg as well, which is something we haven't seen in One Piece before. And although he's an antagonist, he is not hateable at all right now. I love him. And even though he did some horrible things to Usopp, I can't help but like him. In this episode, the entirety of Water 7 and Galila has turned against Luffy's crew after Nico Robin allegedly shot Iceberg, the mayor of Water 7 and somebody that everybody there looks up to. And while it is pretty clear that Nico Robin actually did do that, Luffy absolutely refuses to believe it. The absolute love and loyalty and belief that Luffy has in his team and his people, I think, is amazing. Sometimes it does feel like it's the Straw Hats versus the world, and Luffy is obviously fine with that. But the one thing he's not fine with is saying anything bad about his friends. I think it's that unwavering loyalty that makes Luffy such an amazing captain and character. There is a Straw Hat member that has been shrouded in mystery since they joined, and that is Nico Robin. And up to this point, I feel like I know so much about the characters of this story and the Straw Hat specifically, but Nico Robin has always been somebody that just is a little bit different. And in this episode, it's never become more evident that we truly know nothing about her. And it's been revealed that she's not only working as an assassin for a mysterious organization called the C9, but she's also leaving the Straw Hats forever. And part of me could see this coming, but it's still really hurt nonetheless, especially seeing Chopper's reaction to it, because to them, she's just a Straw Hat, that's all. She's their friend just as much as all the other members of the Straw Hats are. It really feels like the Robin we've known since Alabasta isn't the true person we think she is at all. With the mayor of Water 7, Iceberg, calling her the devil, and the warning that was given to the Straw Hats by Aokiji a few episodes ago, I really am starting to question everything I thought I knew about her. And unsurprisingly, Zora's the only Straw Hat willing to accept the fact that Robin might have been an enemy all along. He's always been a little bit suspicious of Robin, and that might be coming to fruition soon. Regardless, it makes for a very interesting story. Now, this is how you introduce a new threat into a story. This undercover intelligence agency, also known as CP9, has just attacked the Galila and Iceberg again, and they are absolutely terrifying. They claim to be the Darkness, but they're carrying out some sort of justice. What that is, I have no idea. This isn't the first time we've seen a crime syndicate in One Piece, but these guys just feel different. They're just creepier. I don't know if it's the terrifying masks they wear or what, but just something seems a bit more sadistic about these guys. And the fact that Nico Robin is working for them as well is just insane to me. First of all, the dark tonal and thematic shift in this episode I thought was amazing, and it reminded me a little bit of when in Hunter x Hunter, the auction house scene with the Phantom Troop. If you know, you know. But things got real dark in this episode. I thought that discussion between Iceberg and Nico Robin was very eye-opening, and that crazy twist at the end when it was revealed who CP9 really were. What the hell? I thought the reveal was done perfectly, and it genuinely really surprised me. But I got so many questions. The main one is why? I could not have been more wrong about these people. This was one of my favourite episodes of the arc so far, and I'm really loving Water 7 so far in general. I've been saying it since the start of this arc that something feels off. It feels like the truth is not entirely being told, and there's no better evidence than in the last couple of episodes. With the top craftsman at the Galila being part of an undercover intelligence agency, and Frankie being under a false name while he used to work with Iceberg under a man called Tom, who helped develop the Pluton, a weapon of mass destruction that the government are after. Things are getting crazy at the moment. It genuinely feels like anything can happen at any moment, and that is so exciting. It feels like there's a storm coming, both figuratively and very literally. It feels like absolutely everything is going wrong right now in One Piece, and there seems to be a very common theme in the Water 7 arc so far, and that is loss. Of course, in this episode you have Nico Robin leaving the Straw Hats seemingly for good, although I get a sense that she doesn't really want to go, but I'm not too sure. And then you have Paulie, who's lost who he thought were all of his friends overnight. Obviously there was the loss of the Going Merry and Usopp beforehand, and with the CP9 looking to be one of the most powerful threats that we've seen so far, it feels like things are only going to get worse from here on out. And this episode just solidified that hopelessness to me. It's not looking good for anybody but the CP9 right now. It's happening again in One Piece. I got the same feeling in this episode as I got when Crocodile first destroyed Luffy. The absolute sense of dread and feeling that this cannot be overcome. And while this moment with Lucci wasn't as cold and silent as what happened with Crocodile and Luffy in Alabasta, it was definitely as scary. I mean, I'm sorry, but one-shotting Luffy and Zoro the way he did is just terrifying. Yet again, this threat feels like a whole new level to what they faced before. The CP9 were already threatening enough, but the fact that Lucci has a Zoan fruit makes it 10 times worse. The way Luffy and Zoro were disregarded so quick, man, like crazy. How am I more emotionally attached to a boat than I am with 99% of other anime characters? This episode was absolutely gut-wrenching to watch. Seeing Usopp desperately clinging onto the life of the Going Merry and trying to save it when everybody is telling him that she is unsavable. And deep down, he knows exactly what the fate of the Going Merry is years. He even says in his heart he knows that the Going Merry is at the end of its life. But even so, watching him desperately fighting and clawing to save her, even though he's not a shipwright and he doesn't really know what he's doing, I think is really admirable and really hard to watch too. But I love the idea that the Going Merry has actually manifested itself in a human-like form in order to protect the Straw Hat Pirates because they've been so good to her. I just think there's something genuinely beautiful about that. I'm waiting to hear about the history of Frankie and Tom, the world's greatest shipwright. Already I'm so endeared to all of these characters. Tom, Iceberg, Frankie, Kokoro, Yokozuna, and their entire dynamic I absolutely adore. And Tom in general is just the best. I absolutely love the guy so far. And seeing the Sea Train get created and also why it was created in the first place is just so cool to me. And Tom is the one that built Goldie Roger's pirate ship. That is just the coolest shit, I think. I cannot imagine the amount of guilt that Frankie is feeling in this episode. Him living his dream and doing what he loves to do, creating these battleships, has indirectly caused potentially the death of his mentor and one of his best friends and injuries of hundreds of other people. Frankie is not a bad person at all, but he's obviously very badly misjudged the whole situation with his battleships, and it must be absolutely heartbreaking for him. The government are so unbelievably corrupt in this show, man. It's insane. I was waiting for things to go bad in this flashback, but I didn't think it would be this catastrophic. And to be honest, Tom is a top 10 character for me. The way he looks at shipbuilding, essentially like his own children in a way, and he never compromised his values and he always looked out for Frankie and Iceberg. I think he's amazing. I got so much respect for Tom. It's just a shame the government is so insanely corrupt, and that's what I'm learning through Water 7, is the government are just the worst. At least certain sections of it are. I mean, Tom and Frankie in my eyes literally did nothing wrong. And Frankie getting hit by the train at the end, Jesus Christ, man. This episode was a fucking roller coaster. Nico Robin is the absolute best. In this episode, it was finally revealed that Robin's true motive was to protect the Straw Hats the entire time from being annihilated by the government. And I thought she might have some sort of plan in order to protect them, because it's clear that Robin does love the Straw Hats. But I did not expect her to choose the Straw Hats over the entire world, essentially. It says so much about how much the Straw Hats actually mean to Robin. She even said in this episode, they essentially brought her dreams back. They gave her a reason to live again. And she cherishes them more than the potential destruction of the entire world. And as messed up as that seems, I kind of love that. It's given me an entire new perspective on Robin's character. I think Robin has it completely wrong in this situation in terms of what the Straw Hats would do for her. As Nami said in this episode, she would be willing to fight the entire world if it meant they could all be together. That is something that I adore about the Straw Hat Pirates, is it does feel like it's them versus the world at times, and they are completely fine with that. And with Robin and Usopp heading towards Enies lobby right now, it might just be a case of the entire government versus the Straw Hats. Nami is such a great character, and this episode showed why. She is a massive driving force when it comes to the Straw Hats and what they do. In some regards, sometimes she even feels a bit like the captain. At the very least, Nami is like the glue that keeps the Straw Hats together. She's the one driving forward to find Zoro and Luffy, even when the situation is pretty dire at the moment. She definitely keeps everybody in line, that's for sure. And I think her relationship with Robin is really nice as well. She clearly looks up to her as like a big sister, and she, again, has been the one really driving forward to rescue her and find out the truth. And I think because of everything that Nami went through as a kid, when it comes to her friends, to the Straw Hats, she doesn't play about. I just think she's great, man, and I just wanted to give her flowers, basically. How strong is Monkey D. Luffy? He's had some crazy feats of strength up to this point, but I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. This has got me questioning everything, bro, about Luffy's power. Alright, so he's wedged between these two buildings, right, and he's stuck there for absolutely ages. These two fucking fuck-off massive buildings. And Nami finally reaches him and says that Robin's been lying to them the whole time and that she's planning to save the Straw Hats while sacrificing the world and herself. And this motivates Luffy to the point where he manages to push the two buildings apart and break them, essentially. Just out of pure determination, I guess. And the craziest thing is, I'm still very early on in the One Piece series, so I can only imagine the amount of growth that Luffy's going to get is going to be ridiculous. I don't know why, but just like, this shocked me for some reason. This is why I love Usopp so much, man. This Sogeking persona that he's adopted is very funny, but I think it also has a much deeper meaning. Well, it definitely does. After everything that him and Luffy and the Straw Hats have been through recently, he's too ashamed to rejoin the Straw Hats in order to save Robin, so he's taken on this persona, this Sogeking persona, so he can rejoin them, help save Robin without Usopp technically joining back with the Straw Hats. I think there's something really endearing about that, to be honest. And genuinely, his little theme song that he's made for himself and he's singing to himself all the time is just amazing. It's just so good, and it's so Usopp. And this team up of Usopp, Sanji and Frankie is the best as well. I wasn't expecting these three together, but their dynamic is just fucking fantastic. Zoro, Sanji and Frankie just had a battle to see who could aura farm the hardest. This might have been one of Zoro's coldest moments ever, splitting that train in half and then destroying the Navy captain. It was absolutely disgusting, and that fight was sick, by the way. You had Frankie just being Frankie
and being pretty much invincible. And then you have Sanji beating the absolute brakes out of this strange ramen guy to the point where I actually felt bad for him, to be honest. It actually felt like bullying at a certain point. All three of these fights were so much fun to watch, but Zoro was a completely different level to me. He's just the coolest character ever. Sogeking is the absolute GOAT. I don't know who it is, but he's the best. It's so weird to me the way that Robin is acting right now. Even though they know the circumstances, Robin just refuses to go with them. Maybe it's just pure worry about what's going to happen to him. But Blueno coming out of that weird portal at the end, bro, that's giving me chills. Like, what the fuck's going to happen next? Frankie and Robin have arrived in Enies lobby, and it might be one of the coolest locations I think I've seen so far in One Piece. Also, finally getting a bit of context to Robin's background and why she's acting the way she is. I'm not surprised. The trauma she must have experienced as a child, and she's forced to live in this existence where she can potentially end the world, and she wants nothing to do with that, but it's been forced upon her. They say her existence is a sin. It's actually kind of heartbreaking. You can tell that girl's been through a hell of a lot. Also, Yokozuna meeting up with Kokoro again was just the most wholesome thing in the world. The fact he's been training all this time to get strong because of what happened to Tom, I thought was really nice, very endearing, and I hope he gets revenge for him. But yeah, that was the Water 7 arc. So incredible for so many different reasons. The mystery surrounding Nico, Robin, and the CP9, and the eventual plot twist that the shipwrights were the ones that were in the CP9 the entire time, I thought was absolutely genius. The inner turmoil in the Straw Hats is still one of the biggest rifts we've seen in the Straw Hats so far, and that fight between Luffy and Usopp still makes me emotional. I remember when I first saw it, it had me tearing up. So well executed as well. All the stuff with the Going Merry, really emotional. It's made me so attached to a boat, which I didn't think was possible. And of course, the stuff with Tom and Iceberg and the introduction of Frankie, their whole story was just absolutely brilliant with the sea train and Tom's connection to Gold Roger and everything like that. One of my favorite backstories in One Piece ever. Water 7 had so many things to love about it, and the fact that it led up to Enies lobby is just makes it even better when you look back on it. But Water 7 itself can stand alone as one of the greatest arcs in One Piece as well, in my opinion. So let me know what you think about the Water 7 arc in general. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in a bit. Peace.